We appreciate everybody to coming out tonight in San Diego. Dispatches from the Energy Transition is a new webinar series brought to you by Mayfield Renewables. We have some Mayfield people out here. Where's Ryan? There he is, Ryan Mayfield. How are you? Good. Outfit, the design studio, and Solar Builder. Chris, I think, is still stuck at the airport, unfortunately. But we're excited to have this episode tonight. And here with my co-host, who I've known for almost 10 years, right? Close. Lucas Miller from Mayfield Renewables.
Thanks for joining, everyone. Thanks for bearing with us as we figure out how to work a speaker, a microphone. We're calling this actually a fireside chat today, not a live panel discussion. Didn't expect it to be this chilly in San Diego. We're going to talk about building level controls integration, and integration with energy storage in particular today. Like Robert mentioned, my name's Lucas Miller. I work at Mayfield Renewables. If you're here, hopefully you know who we are, but if not, we are an engineering consultancy. So we do plan set development, general engineering consulting, microgrid feasibility studies with a big focus on commercial industrial level systems and more and more on microgrids these days. We also develop a lot of education and training programs for developers, manufacturers, and even just online training for NABCEP credit. With that, that's enough about me and about Mayfield. I want to introduce our two guests here today. You guys actually have quite the interesting history together, so you guys know each other. I'm going to pass the microphone to Casey to get us started.
Okay, first, who wants more solar? Cheers to more solar. Who wants more storage? Cheers to more storage. All right, we're going to talk about how. My name is Casey. I'm the CEO at Elexity. Stoked to be here with all of you. Thanks for giving us attention. Elexity is an energy management system for commercial and industrial buildings. We do economic optimization of batteries, so that'd be demand charge management, time of use management. We also do microgrid control and hybrid, so on-grid and off-grid controls for customers. We monitor and forecast solar, but what's unique about Elexity is that we take a whole building approach to control, and we control real-time loads like EV chargers and HVAC in concert with batteries and solar. And we do that because we're passionate about growing the solar industry. And when you look at the economics of those systems combined, you can deliver better results for customers. And we'll talk a bit about that tonight.
Thank you, Casey. Welcome everyone. Thank you for hanging in there on the audio. I'm Bryan Wagner with Chint. We go by CPS America. You can see about 20 of our team in the crowd there. We do solar and storage, mostly on the equipment side. We're in single phase now. Inverters, 3-phase string is what we're known for, and we're getting into more utility scale. And glad to say and proud of the team, we just passed 10 gigawatts deployed last year, which is pretty sweet. All string inverter. Casey knows a little bit about that. We'll get into that. And just excited to be here. Excited to learn from all of you and get to meet some of you and had some good conversations going already. Thanks for having us.
So this slide, I'll talk about the integration of hardware and software. Part of the reason that we started dispatches is that energy transition is pretty complex. In the 2010s, there was a lot on the manufacturing side, building systems, and as we move forward, software is playing a bigger and bigger role. How did you guys come to work together? Kind of curious.
I guess the boss hands it over. So Casey was my boss at 2 companies now, and I think those that have also, I see Anton, and have also worked for Casey knows he's pretty kick-ass boss.
Nice.
But at AE, when I was there, my first boss was there 1 month. My second boss, Casey, was there for 1 month, so I didn't learn too much there. My second run with Casey, he actually called me and said, "Hey, we have an opening in CPS. You have to take about a $50,000 pay cut." I said, "Sure. Where do I sign up?" But back then, we had 3 customers, maybe 5 customers as a company. One of them being Selectria, was a great partnership that him and Ed kicked off. Fast forward today, we're over 1,100 companies that work with CPS now, all commercial and utility scale. So that's really how we got started. I'd say we've known each other now 10 plus years, 15 years. So I don't know if you have anything to add.
That's awesome. Well, I would say Bryan was a key hire for us early at CPS and was the guy that really scaled the business. And it turns out that when I left the company, I didn't matter that much because Bryan's really taken it to another level, which is amazing. So stoked for that team. I would add this one context that'll provide some background to today. Bryan and I have been passionate about the C&I space for a long time. And C&I is tough. Solar C&I is tough. You're dealing with a business that's hard focused on an ROI. Financing in solar was tough. And by the way, those customers are running a business, and energy savings is not their priority, right? They want to save money on their bill, but it's not the number one problem. And so together at CPS, we built inverter solutions to really attack that C&I space and make it easy, take something complex and make it simple, enable our customers, the developers to do more and more C&I solar. And we're back at it again together as partners. Bryan's, CPS is our key hardware partner from a battery perspective. We're the software element. And we're trying to do it again. We're trying to take something complex, which is storage and solar, and make it simple for our customers. And you'll see some things today that aren't so simple. But what we're really trying to do is present that to an end customer in a way that is easy for them to scale.
I'll try to be efficient with the mic since we have one to pass along here. So 2-parter. First off, Casey, what does EMS integration mean in reality? So does this mean I buy a certain battery and it comes with the EMS, fully in the box? And then Bryan, why is this a strategic move for CPS to approach this kind of integration?
Yeah, so the integration can be just technical in the sense that our engineering teams work together. We have weekly meetings. We've tested our software with their hardware so that they're speaking a fluent language between each other. We've tested that in their international lab and their Texas lab. We go to commission projects together. Our goal is to make it simple for the end customer, right? We show up, we make it work, and it's a system that works together.
Yeah, and I would say we really were very strategic with any partnership that you enter. We're very cautious about that. I know Apple, for example, is famous for saying they don't talk about subcomponent suppliers. We tend to, be that way more we offer a lot of skid solutions and different transformer brands, including Chint has their own transformer brand. We tend to be similar there, but I think when it comes to software, and we have our own software that we do on the PV side, this was just out of our scope and something that we could calculate. Okay, it would take us this long to go that direction and build something, or we know there's folks that could help us get there quicker. And I think it's the background that we had together as knowing each other a long time, and also already, I think, going to market and making that complex simple. So the ability, when we first did 100 kilowatts, 200 kilowatt type projects with string, the ability now to go back in time and kind of a decade later, say, let's go do that again. That actually gets us really excited too. We're talking about on the neighborhood of probably under 50 projects we've done in storage, and we've done over 20,000 in PV. So, yes, we're chasing 400, 500, 600 megawatt PV sites now. Are you that excited about a 1 megawatt hour? And the answer is, I think I'm more excited about this category than anything else we're doing right now.
So our program talks about the new reality of California solar. There's been some changes with net metering 3.0, time of use rate, peak demand. I have the misfortune of having a banking career prior, working at 3 banks for 10 years. This is in part about trying to make projects more simple, right? And how do you do that, Casey, from the software side? What's that about?
Yeah, the key. Actually, I would go to the next slide if you don't mind. We're gonna geek out on load profiles, because what goes better with beer than load profiles, right? And the reason we're going to do this is that the solar world is changing. And let me just speak to this for just a quick second. Make sure we're looking at the right thing. The dark gray is the base load profile in a day of a typical building. And post solar, you can see the load profile in orange. And down here during the middle of the day, you've got a lot of export. Well, under NEM 3, that's not valuable anymore. In fact, there's times of the day, there's hours and months of the year. If you look at our good friends CalSA, they post this export rate information on their website. There are times of the year where that is worth 0 cents per kilowatt hour, right? So if you're in the solar development business, that's not a real attractive offer to customers, right? And over the year, that export value is worth about 30% of what it used to be before the NEM 3 changes here in California. So what do you do about that? Well, you could install a smaller solar array so you don't have export, but that's not really advantageous, right? What you can install is a battery, and you can install things like load control, which we'll talk about. But your objective is to move some of that energy from that low-cost export period, charge up something like a battery, or shift the loads in the building, and then discharge it in the evening to take advantage of eliminating those very high peak prices in the afternoon. So NEM 3 has made a change to that export value, but the other thing that's happened is utility rates have changed pretty significantly. Right, the bill is dominated by things like time of use prices and demand charges. And so the approach we've had in this industry, and Bryan and I love solar. I mean, we're here because, my first Intersolar, I think, was 2008. Love the segment, love solar. But to get solar to grow, we're going to have to attack the whole bill in a new way. And we're going to have to, as an industry, think about load profiles and think about how we'll shift energy around to reduce costs. And so, with the battery and with the systems in a building, there's a lot of complexity about when you shift energy around, what the rates are. And what we do as a company, to answer your question, is we build software that just makes that easy for the end customer. We put that on autopilot.
Thank you, Casey. I think Lucas has a question for Bryan.
We talked a little bit about integration, Bryan, and I think on a previous slide we even showed there's a new CPS battery that'll be at Intersolar. Is this integration for one particular product or for a range of storage products? And if so, when can people expect to see this on the market?
Do we have a slide?
Go back.
At all? Okay, you want to go back? Yeah, I think what we're showing here is what we call Gonzo. That's probably for a story another time, but maybe not. All right, fine. You want to hear it? I think it's pretty funny. So about a month ago, it must have been 3 months ago, we had an intern come in for an interview. The end of the interview, everything, he had a smile ear to ear. We were opening a New York City office, so a new office, and he was all excited to work there starting in May. At the very end, though, he pretty much secured the job, and he just said, "Do me a favor." On his way out, he's like, "And call me Gonzo." And we just started like kind of making us chuckle. And so we're overseas last month, and Alan, for the Chint folks know, Alan's very excited about new products. He's our head of R&D and storage. Our storage business now is probably approaching 100 people in R&D, so it's growing. And so Alan's very detailed, very serious, very intense. And I'm like, and we're going to call it Gonzo. We were looking at the new product, this one. And he's like, no, this is C&I. So we're going. We had some drinks later that night, and he was yelling, "Let's go, Gonzo!" I was saying we would basically, anyway, that's enough. So this product, we used to have both the PCS and the battery cabinet separate pieces. I think we might show that on a later slide, but there you'd have to install 2 pieces of equipment, you'd have to ship 2 pieces of equipment, you'd have the integration was more challenging. This kind of makes it simple. So it's one machine, PCS plus battery integrated, and you can see you could parallel really up to any size. So below this size, we have something called what we call a hybrid, string, like single phase string inverter. That can pair with batteries. We're really targeting only commercial applications. We're not really. We just did a project like 100 retail shops. We're in the integration phase of that. I think we've done about half. So, and then north of this, as you get into larger building blocks, we have basically a battery container, 5 megawatt hour, and that comes with our PCS skid, which is basically string inverters, 200 kilowatt string inverters. Yeah. So it's flexible. I think, again, trying to, play in all 3 categories, small, medium, and the really big. I think we went to market a couple years ago. We got UL on the battery container. It's a really competitive business, kind of a race to the bottom. Folks like Tesla have been doing very well in that space for a long time, and others. So we kind of pivoted and we said, let's go back to our roots, which is C&I, commercial and industrial. And, I think this is the one we're excited to make simple and scale.
So I think we can go to the solutions slide. So over here, when you introduce storage plus controls, predictive optimization, it's a better picture, but why?
Yeah, and first of all, you guys are doing great. Thanks for hanging in there. We have more load profiles with 50 more slides. So John's excited. He loves load profiles. So what's happening here? Elexity is combining both load control and battery control in a building to significantly reduce the bill. So when we approach a building, we first look at, is it a good candidate for HVAC load control? And load control has a unique ability. With that, we can shift energy around through pre-cooling and preheating techniques and avoid demand peaks. And then when you pair that with the battery, you can fully utilize that battery to do energy arbitrage. We'll show you some numbers on the next slide to give you some context. But think of it this way. Load control can add about 50% savings relative to incremental savings relative to a battery alone. It can make those savings more reliable because you're controlling both the load profile in the building through its key loads. HVAC, by the way, is typically 60%, maybe a little less, sometimes more, of the total load in a commercial building. So it's significant. And you combine that with a battery, you get more reliable savings. And then in a battery backup out situation, you can use software to control loads to extend the duration of a battery. So there's a lot of benefits that come when you pair those 2 technologies together. And the load profile here, the objective is between that 4 and 9 p.m. period to flatten that load profile. And we do that in many of the buildings that we're in because that's the most expensive time of the day to consume energy. As an example, like on the SCE TS G3 rate, E-rate in California, customers in the summer are paying 73 cents a kilowatt hour for energy between 4 and 9 p.m. And there's no reason for them to do that. So we're deploying these predictive control techniques to both loads and the battery every day to reshape that load profile. If a customer is going to spend money on a battery and solar, they should control the loads as well. And the economics are fantastic. We're boosting the economics of the battery, making it better for the customer, better for you as developers. That's really what's unique about what we're doing at Elexity.
Yeah, and I think this is a pretty exciting time for energy management, and something that we at Mayfield have really looked into in the last year or so. And there are a handful of new listings coming out. So right now, if you're listed to UL 1741 CRD, you are in essence a power control system, energy management system. There's a new UL listing, 3141, coming out this year. And so I'd maybe open this up to both of you. Are you trying to achieve that 3141 listing? And if so, who would that fall under? Would it be CPS, Elexity, or both?
Should be under us. Yeah, that'll be under us. So that is something we're a part of. I mean, all the certifications is something. I think John Drummond in the crowd over here, if you get a chance to grab John, he's one of the main points. John, Anton, Z. I don't see Z. Oh, there he is. Yeah. So. Yeah. So I mean, those guys can help, but yeah, we can definitely run that down. I don't know if you have anything.
Well, I'll just add that California is particularly complex, and together as a team, we recently completed the UL 1741 CRD requirements to be able to meet all the requirements of non-export and solar charging only, and that's an exercise that we did as a team, right? So that's the power of a software company and a hardware company working closely together. And Anton, who's back there, and Bryan pointed out, did most of the work in his team, and we got that done. And we're just going to, as a team, stay on top of the ever-changing certification landscape.
I was going to mention one quick plug. We run an innovation day every year. This is our 4th annual coming up April 2nd, where some of our partners will be there. And actually, you'll be able to see our C&I product there. You'll see how we can run, different testing inside of the lab and the facility. I think it's a really good event. So yeah, check us out.
I'm going to go to the case study in a moment, but I'm kind of curious between the value of resilience, avoiding peak demand charges, time of use. How do you, as a manufacturer and a service provider, try to explain this complexity? It's not easy.
It's a good question. Yeah. It's all about the numbers, right? So in the C&I segment, we're talking to business owners. It might be a school, but even for a school, it's all about the numbers. It's about savings. And what we're really looking at is what's optimal. If you're in a location where there's significant grid outages and you've got concern about, I want to keep my business operating, there's economics that go into that. What's the value of keeping your car dealership open on a Friday instead of it being closed, right? And owners of the business can attach a number to that. On a normal day, you're doing energy arbitrage or demand management to reduce the bill. And one of the unique things that we do at Elexity is that we give the customer the option to do both. So we built an algorithm that is thoughtful about predicting risk of outage, and we can anticipate outage events, weather-related or otherwise, and shift allocation of the battery to be more ready for backup scenarios. And in that way, the customer can get the best of both worlds. Let me share the opposite of that. Here's a low-value idea. Allocate 50% of your battery to backup all the time. Never use it for energy arbitrage or time of use. And you've just got a battery sitting there as a doorstop, and you use every once in a while. That's not a great strategy. Use all the battery that you can every day and have an intelligent algorithm that can anticipate risk of outage to shift that. So that's kind of intelligence that we built in.
I think he nailed that. I mean, what I would add is, we're not software folks as much as we're focused on the hardware and bringing, I'd say, complex products, making those simple. We focus on, I think Casey once used to say it, we aren't really we aren't the cheapest solution out there, but we rarely lose on price. I think with our two solutions, hardware and software together, I think we're putting together a really aggressive, offer to the market. And I think go to his team for these more complex, discuss the bills and kind of the savings, electricity savings. Our team's not really today, handling that part. That would be all Casey. So I would say when we get those types of questions, we would point in his direction. And John over here, who helped found the company, right? They have a really strong team. So, yep.
All right, we teased it. Second to last slide. We've got a little case study up here. Heights Christian School. We know you guys both worked on this one. So I'll, again, turn it to you guys. Whoever wants to take the lead here, walk us through this one.
I think I see 3.5 years payback. Start there.
That's a pretty good number. Yeah, we love this project. This is a school in California, in LA area. It's called Heights Christian. It's a campus, about 100,000 square feet of buildings. And our collective customer is REP Solar. Shout out to them for, taking an innovative approach to the project. They looked at it beyond solar. They looked at the whole bill and they wanted to be an energy problem solver for this customer. And they brought a 350 kilowatt DC solar array, a 125 kilowatt 2-hour battery from CPS. And there's 46 thermal zones, HVAC units in this building, of which we're doing real-time load control. And just to give you guys some context on the numbers, 46 thermal zones is a nameplate rating of 370 kilowatts of peak HVAC load. So that's fairly significant, right? When we look at the analysis and we simulate their building, one of the things we do, you see the little eye chart here on the lower left, we look at outdoor temperature as a function of peak demand. And when there's a nice correlation up to the right like that, our analytic engine can see that there's good HVAC that can be shifted without impacting comfort in the building. And that's the riddle of our company. If you want to learn more about that, talk to me privately. It's a long conversation. But we are shifting about 75 kilowatts of HVAC load at any given time to reduce peaks in that building. And paired with a 125 kilowatt battery, now you've got a solution that's driving incremental savings. You can see the numbers at the top. HVAC alone is driving about $15,000 a year in savings. The battery about $25,000 on an energy arbitrage opportunity in this SCE territory. We're also bringing some grid services to the table. This customer is enrolled in a dynamic real-time pricing, an hourly pricing pilot with Southern Cal Edison in year 1, year 2. Hopefully the funding sticks around and we'll be able to put them in the DSGS program. And that adds incremental savings to the customer. But right there, you can see the math. And the mental math is simple. 75 kilowatts of shiftable HVAC, 125 kilowatt battery, significant savings above a battery alone. And I would add one more thing. The numbers are awesome here, right? The payback period is great. But talk to the facilities manager at Heights Christian. Gabe Viramontes is a facility manager. Let me see if I can find my phone. Gabe gets to log into his phone every day or his web app on his desktop, and he has one platform through Elexity to control all these systems. His alternative was to buy a $100,000 BMS system from one of the traditional HVAC players just to manage comfort. And by the way, those systems don't pay attention to the meter at all. And buy a solar monitoring package from a solar company, maybe a battery monitoring package from somebody else. He logs into Elexity's single platform to manage all of that in one place. And that's that's delighting Gabe and making his life easier. And those economics aren't on this page. So that's where we love to just delight our customers in that way, and it's been powerful. And then to add one more thing, a couple years from now, when Gabe installs EV chargers at his facility, we'll roll that into our platform. We'll be able to shift those in anticipation of peak loads and dynamically with the battery, and they'll all be on the same platform, right? So this is the power of thinking about whole building control. And we think it's a game changer for the economics for these projects. And again, our objective is to make it easier for you, solar and energy project developers to sell projects like this.
Thank you, Casey. Bryan, as a leading manufacturer in the C&I space, making inroads in utility scale as well, how important are software partnerships like Elexity in regard to energy storage as you're growing that aspect of the business?
Well, again, if you think about so we have our own product in software called Flex, the Flex Gateway, which has been out for 8-9 years, and that's more on PV only side, and it's more, we use that tool more as a remote troubleshooting tool to really, James, who's over there, if you have any service related questions, James will handle those. Yeah, so basically James's team helps send technicians. That saves a ton of truck rolls for us and for them. So the Flex has been, we probably have more than half our sites now on the Flex, and that saved us tremendously. We knew what that cost to develop that software, and so if we were going to go after a building software platform or something, it's costly. So it really kind of started with the our cost analysis, right? And after the cost analysis, I think was the benefit that we obviously have a friend in Casey that we've known for years, and like I said, we vet many. There's several companies always trying to pursue working with us, but I think we take a long-term approach, and the fact that we know we're going to have probably 100,000 sites we're managing 10 years from now, if not more, and we need folks that'll be around for long term. So thank you, Casey.
Thanks, Bryan. I'm going to add a couple things to pitch for him. They're connected through their Flex Gateway. We're connected through our system. So for customers, you can have the confidence that both companies are looking at the battery system and the health and the performance, which is a positive. And then just another thing for Heights Christian and other customers, they started small with a 125 kilowatt battery. As their loads change and grow in the future, CPS's product line is easily extensible to add additional units, right? And the customers made some provision for that. So the building block concept that CPS has is just a nice way to help expand as the customer grows.
I think we're coming close to wrapping up soon. I see some audience cues. However, an aspect of dispatches is we like people to join the conversation. I know some of you were commenting on our last episode. I think Lucas and I answered around 20 questions during the episode. Does anyone have a question for Bryan or Casey? Yes, no? Oh, Tor.
I think one of the big things we use right now is AI and data center companies. You guys see yourselves somehow integrating into that need?
It's a great question. Tor asked about AI data center integration. We have not done a project in that space yet. We have some inquiries. Certainly, it's interesting. I would say, it's a great candidate for a battery. Honestly speaking, it's not a great candidate for HVAC load control. Typically, a data center is not a flexible load, right? And so, but we're pragmatic about that, right? One of our approaches is HVAC load control doesn't fit in every building. And we're honest about that up front, right? We look at it, we assess, we decide if it's a flexible load. And some of those may be, but generally it's not been a primary target for us.
Okay. Oh,
So with all the HVAC that you had up there, what are the HVAC requirements? What HVAC can you control? What can't you control? Obviously, there's heat pumps. There's things that came before that. What do you like to see for HVAC to be able to control it?
Yeah, great question. The question was about what kind of HVAC systems can we integrate with, and do we like to see from a control point of view? Well, certainly like just packaged units down the middle, like a heat pump. I mean, we love a building with a heat pump, air conditioning system that's a packaged unit. You're going to be able to avoid those peak heating loads in the morning, typically when it's heating season, and those peak cooling periods when it's cooling season. Any project that's got 10 or more heat pump units on it or HVAC units is going to be a slam dunk from the numbers perspective. We've worked with more advanced systems, building management systems. We're integrated with several buildings that have chiller systems. Basically, anything that has thermostat control, we can have a positive impact on, but we really love heat pump AC combos.
I think we've captured your attention as far as it's going to go tonight. Thank you for participating in the first live dispatches here in San Diego. I might nominate Adam Boucher from Molecule Systems Virtual Power Plants as the next episode. I'm just hearing if Adam's listening or not. But thank you, everyone. Lucas, you have anything to say? You want to say something for Chris, Solarbolt, our partner? No?
Thanks, Chris. And thanks, Brian. Thanks, Casey. Thanks, everyone, for tuning out. And please grab another drink.